renewed focus on the mental health of students since the pandemic. These statistics we're about to tell you from the National Alliance on Mental Illness show that 1 in 6 U.S. kids between the ages of 6 and 17 experience some kind of mental health disorder each year. And suicide is the second leading cause of death amongst people aged 10 through 14. Well, Symphonie sat down with a few students to get the scoop on what they're really experiencing and how they wish adults would show up for them.
Yeah, that's right, Tim. Just think about when you first started middle school, high school, or even college. There was an immense sense of pressure as you tried to adjust to this new chapter in your life. Well, I had a very candid conversation with students who told me they're not only worried about meeting new people, fitting in, or just getting a grip on an increased workload. They say social media, peer pressure, and other factors take a toll on their mental health. I want you to come to your TV this morning. You will want to hear what they had to say. Take a look. What do you think are some of the most common challenges that folks in your age group face with peers at school?
There's still a lot of pressure to, partake in, nicotine, or, there's, it took my school by storm, Zen, so, yeah.
What is that?
Zen is it's a nicotine pouch, which you can slide under your gum, and you can just use it in class without anybody knowing. So yeah. It's, you can just see that they look like mint boxes. I just saw it. I remember when I was leaving school, they were just the empty boxes just littered around the parking lot. My school had to literally lock down every bathroom in there except for one, because everyone had the weed pens. Yeah, I don't know, but a lot of kids were on those really bad. And my senior year, I think 2 freshmen ended up having to go to the hospital because someone laced them. And then a lot of stuff that I've seen as well is students charging their vape pens and their school computers and stuff like that. So it's
wow.
Crazy.
Can you share an experience where you felt like you had to navigate an instance? It doesn't have to pertain to drugs particularly or a substance, but where you navigated an instance of peer pressure?
Basically cyberbullying, just bullying a kid, and then it comes to school and fights and stuff happen.
Yeah.
I've experienced that a lot.
Have you been involved in those incidents, or you've just kind of watched from the sidelines?
My junior year.
You were involved in that incident?
Yeah.
Were you the person being attacked?
It was 50-50. It was outsiders, that people that didn't even go to the school, and it was also insiders. I did get attacked for it at the ending of my junior year, just because of social media stuff. And then after I got attacked and we dealt with that whole situation, people were going on about it and making memes and just a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah.
And how did you feel in that moment when all of that was happening?
I kind of was embarrassed, and I didn't want to go back to school or be involved with anybody.
Yeah, you felt isolated?
Yeah.
And did you talk to adults about this?
Only person I really had in my corner was my mom. She was the one that was going to bat for me. And I went to teachers. Teachers knew about it. Counselors, everyone knew about it. No one addressed the situation. They wouldn't say nothing to her. They wouldn't call home, say anything. Adults that I did have trust in, as far as my counselors and stuff like that, I couldn't even trust them because they were the main ones talking about it. So yeah. And it was a lot of teachers and stuff too going around actually sharing the video of me getting attacked. So yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry you went through that.
Thank you.
Social media, sticking with social media, it's in everything that we do these days. When I was coming up, we had Facebook or MySpace back in the day, but that was something you could log on to when you were at home. We didn't necessarily have it with us everywhere. Yeah. At a certain point in time. But now, everyone has their phones in school, and everyone is always recording everything, and everything's being documented. How has that shaped how you show up at school, or how you just show up in life when you're around your peers?
I think social media, looking into it, it definitely has had an impact on our mental health as a youth. I think we talked about during the pandemic and after the pandemic, about this crisis, this mental health crisis that we have. among the youth. But I've argued to my circles for a good bit that it started before the pandemic, when social media was able to be in our pockets and we are able to take it out and whatnot wherever we are. That's when the crisis started, because that's when we start seeing the increase in depression, anxiety.
We see everything that's going on, from what's going on to the Israel-Palestine conflict. You just see these kids dying just every day. We've become so normalized to the school shootings, to people just dying all the time, and it's just, you just look at, 20 people died in a school shooting. Oh, it's just a normal day.
That right there is what bothers me the most.
Yeah. So I definitely wanted the kids to be honest about what they deal with, but for me, it was just kind of jarring to hear some of the things that they go through. And when you think about when we were in school, like I said, we had social media, I had Facebook and MySpace, and things are just so different now. And I'm not a parent yet, but I know you guys have children. It just seems like it's so scary to just send them out into the world knowing that kids are so mean.
So as a single parent, and I know, and I don't want to just turn it into just that, you try to be on top of everything. You try as one parent to say, okay, you know what, I think I know where these kids are thinking, I know what they're going to do. However, and here's the point with the whole single parent thing, you find yourself competing in raising your child with the peer pressure. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, and you see it from what leads to the mental health, that as these students were just talking about, the bullying and everything online and whatnot, when you're competing with their peers, it's tough to parent, and it's tough to get a word in edgewise, because they're not listening to you. Mm-hmm. And so,
which has, by the way, always been the case.
That part is
nothing
a constant.
that has anything to do with social media.
Absolutely right.
That's always been there.
But it's, you want to be on top of it. You want to be a good, effective parent. But it's hard because they're listening to each other, and unfortunately, they're listening to all this, garbage that's getting thrown around about them in the process.
And if you try to win that fight completely, you're going to lose in the long run. You have to let them go out and start finding their own opinions and making their own mistakes.
That's right.
And that letting go, I think, is fundamentally the hardest part of it.
Oh, it's such a good piece.
Thank you.
No, and it's such an eye-opener, and that's the thing we do with the family first things here. It's I always say it's not what you know, it's what you don't know, especially when it comes to this stuff. So that's eye-opening stuff you just put there.
Now, we had a long interview, so if you want to see the full interview, you can just head over to our website at fox61.com. You can also view it on Fox 61 Plus. I encourage you to do that as your kids head back to school. Maybe get some insight on what they are actually dealing with.